Right, here we go. Right, everyone, welcome to the first edition of the Bluebird Chat with myself, Johnny. Some people may know me, others probably don't. Just a bit of background about myself. Obviously, I'm from Barrow, and obviously I live back down south now. And one of the reasons why I thought this was a good idea is one thing I've always missed is sort of hanging out in the pub with my mates in Barrow and talking, shooting the shit about the football. And obviously, being an expat nowadays, that's a lot harder. And I just thought it's a good idea for some people, a bit more technological, I guess. But just have a chat about the football, have an opinion outside of the forum. Obviously, there's a few keyboard warriors on the forum and the rest of it. But I just figured that this was probably a little bit more fun, a bit more open, and yeah, I figured it was a good idea. So I've got a bit of body. Should be drinking on a Sunday, but whatever. Right, cool. So today's topics. Obviously, we're going to talk about yesterday's game. Obviously, next week's game as well. Paul Cox saga and what's happened there, and also the current state of the squad and where we are. Hello to our one viewer. Greetings.
Oh,
anyway. We've got one viewer. We've got one viewer. Hopefully, we end up with two. Oh, he's gone. We haven't got any.
Thorough disappointment, isn't it?
Right. Anyway, so I'm going to bring the panel in. So usually this will work with sort of 2 or 3 people on the panel. Because of the short notice, we've got Mr. Browley. He's going to be one of our sort of regular panelists. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. No, cheers for coming on at such short notice. We're supposed to have Azza, but Azza's gone for a curry. I believe we're supposed to have Steely as well, Cy Nichols, a few other people I've spoken with.
You might join us. We've given the link out, haven't we? So we might get somebody.
Yeah. If they come on, brilliant. I think hopefully week on week, things will sort of crack on a bit better. We've got two viewers. Hello to the extra viewer. Right, we'll start now. And so basically, going into things. Obviously, yesterday I think we lost 1-0. On paper, I'll be honest with you, I thought we were going to get a bit of an hiding yesterday. I remember I had a chat with my old man beforehand, and I thought, I think this could end up 4 or 5. We haven't got the best of track records when we go to these sort of big clubs, and with the squad being as sort of threadbare as what it is at the minute. On paper, a 1-0 defeat's not that bad, I don't think. The way in which it happened, with the kicking the bollocks towards the end, it's not ideal. I think that leaves us 20th in the table. From what I gather, we win a lot of the ball, but as I'll get onto later, I think we're lacking a few things. What are your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I agree with quite a bit of that, really. I predict the games every week or whenever the games come around as part of like a works prediction thing. But you've got it. You're hiding from it. But it kind of panned out how I thought it was going to. Really, Tranmere a lot of the time got slender wins last season, either 1-0s, 2-1s. They were kind of the masters of it, really, even getting wins late on, like we saw yesterday. So to lose by a goal was kind of how I thought it would go. I didn't think we'd disgrace ourselves. I thought we had a chance in the game. As it panned out, for large periods of that game, we had a lot of the ball, which you don't always expect at Prenton Park or some of the bigger sides. You expect Tranmere to dominate the ball, dominate territorial. Actually, for a lot of that game yesterday, I didn't go to the game personally, but I was listening to our lads on radio and I felt that we had a lot of the ball. I felt that we caused them a lot of problems and actually pushed them back at 5 or 10 yards. We probably over-exerted ourselves throughout the game, which is what we needed to do, be physically commanding, squeeze the space. And that's kind of hurt us in the last 15, 20 minutes, hasn't it, where we found ourselves pushed back in the end. It's a poor error from Musa, really, for the goal. Andy Wood, post-match for RC, had said that it was possibly a bit of trying to adapt to Mickey Moore's tactics of taking a touch rather than just booting it in the stand. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, actually. I just think he's been caught out. The goal in the first half that we should have had, it's all viral now and on the National League website. We'll obviously see Matt Dodd's highlights eventually, and I don't understand why it's not being given. I don't know of anybody that understands. Like, it seems that the keepers retrospectively claimed a bit of a foul that Adi Yusuf might have made on him. I can't see how he's made contact personally. I think it's a ridiculous decision, which we see all too much of at this level, really. But having said that, we had I think Yusuf or Byron Harrison had a chance after that towards the end of the first half. We rode our luck a bit at times. Cookie had a free header in the first half, should have scored, really. Yeah. And they had one or two chances like that. But I really think that... Hello, Mrs. Browley. Come on, you're live on air.
Oh, hiya. Oh, God. I thought you were just...
Fuck off.
I've interrupted my train of thought now.
She's talking, obviously they had a... You mentioned Byron's obviously had a chance, and the Yusuf has a chance as well. That's why you were with it. Yeah. So we rode our luck, which we're going to have to do at Tranmere. You know, we're not going to go places like Tranmere and try and get like the odd goal victory, are we? Which we saw in Redmore a couple of seasons ago. You know, we rode our luck that day. But I felt like we had our fair share of the chances as well, and it's gutting really to concede that in the way that we did. Norwood's effort, he's done well with the goal actually. I mean, it's on an angle. He's got quite a bit of work to do to finish. Have you seen it, have you? I haven't seen it yet. And then what, the clip's up on the
It's on the National League website, this one. I don't know whether that's obviously not premature. They'll have some sort of rights to it. But it tends to be that BT show it and then we put our highlights up now after that, don't we? So I'm quite encouraged by yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't there. I know a lot of people who went down. I spoke in the Ambrose with a couple of them last night, and not one of them said to me that they think it went poorly. Not one of them has said that they weren't impressed. You know, they were very impressed with the team ethic, how we set up to kind of combat Tranmere. And there's a lot of positivity, really, from what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, I'm obviously very... I'm quite a positive person anyway, I like to think, but I listened to the game and yeah, I mean, it seemed we had a lot of the ball, which, to be honest with you, on the clocks, we weren't really a possession-based side. Obviously, we normally go for the long ball. I just wish Musa just fucking booted the ball out of play like he would have done 2 weeks ago, rather than try and turn it to John Stones, by the sounds of it. But yeah, I mean, on paper, 1-0 away at Tranmere. I mean, Christ, under the Bailey's era, that would have been 5 or 6. And you know, and it's good. I mean, I spoke to Dave Newskins yesterday after the game. Dave's obviously done his knee in. He's got a scan tomorrow. So, you know, if it's ligament damage, that's Dave out for 8 months. That could be his season. Yeah. Hopefully, it's a knock. He said he felt a little bit better today, but he went home in a leg brace. He couldn't drive, so his missus had to drive him back to his hotel. And yeah, I mean, it's the first time she's driven in the country, so I think that was probably the easiest journey home, wrong side of the road and all that. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's a big club, Tranmere. I think we'd take 1-0. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, it's a sign of things to come. Okay, let's move on. Obviously, what we're trying not to do on these sort of podcasts is cover too many topics. I think what I want to go to next is obviously what I've called the Paul Cox saga. Obviously, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of change at the club. Different theories. Some which are absolute nuts. Some which may have some legs. But I'll start. I've basically put it down to 4 theories, and we'll start with the first one, Tom. First of all, what's your take on it? And I should go with that. Tom, what's your take on it?
Well, I think first and foremost, I need to mention what side of the fence I'm on. I'm very much in the Paul Cox camp. it seems to be that we've kind of been quite divisive in our reaction to it as a fan base, doesn't it? I don't remember too many people when he was manager being that critical of the Paul Cox way. Not people that go to Barrow regularly, anyway. I think the more of the talk was about the results that he was managing to get. Perhaps that was waning a little bit towards the end, but I think I had trust completely in the process of what we were doing. I felt the results would come. And with the situation, how the squad was dismantled over the summer, I had complete faith in how we were still recruiting players and the philosophy behind that. But I was gutted, when I used to do the commentaries for Radio Lonsdale, I felt like I built up a little bit of rapport with Paul. I felt like he was an honest, genuine man. He used to come in post-match and just give an honest critique of what was going on. I really liked that about him. What really struck me about him as a person is that he's had quite a bit of success in the game. Okay, people may have their various takes on that with what he was able to spend at the likes of Mansfield and Eastwood, for example. But he just seems so down to earth for somebody who's achieved quite a bit, in my opinion, in the game. And that's what I really liked about him as well. He was just sort of one of the lads. He was one of you and me, and I really liked that. And I think the appointment at Guiseley shows that as well. I think Guiseley is a fantastic fit for Paul Cox. That's showing the kind of guy he is. He likes an unfashionable, understated sort of club, perhaps Mansfield aside, or maybe that's just the way that he's gone now with it in his own mind and in the kind of clubs that he chooses now to be the football manager of. He can build it from day one. There's kind of not a lot of pressure. There's a time frame obviously in place with him for that job, but there's obviously not a lot of pressure necessarily in terms of it have to be done this season or next season. It's a slow building process there, and I wish him well. I'm a Paul Cox man, like I say. I know that we've got to move on, and which we'll come on and talk about, but I wish him well in his new role.
No, I agree. I feel that's a really good sort of briefing. I'm very similar. There's no hiding the facts. Obviously, I know Paul as well, so obviously I've got my own opinions. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, like I always said to Paul, he's my second or third favourite ever Barrow manager. I never watched a Ray Wilkie game, but because of the Wilkie achieved. But my favourite ever Barrow manager is Dave Bayliss, of which I have got an hour recorded with Dave about his time at Barrow, which I did a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, cool. Oh, that'd be a real lesson, that, yeah. Yeah.
So that I'll be uploading that over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, there's no hiding the fact. Obviously, I was a fan of Paul's. I liked the rapport he had with the fans. I thought personally that things were going well. Obviously, I'm not privy to stuff which has been going on behind the scenes, but yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing, really. I don't really, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know where we're going at the minute as a club. I think the next week or so, time will tell, and I just hope to hell that he doesn't come back and haunt us on Tuesday. Well, let's go into different theories.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go to different theories, right? Because I've spoken to a few people. Obviously, I'm on the forum, and I've had a good look through the forum and the different theories that people have said of what's gone on. So let's go through them one by one. Okay, first one I've called style of football equals low attendances. Over to you, Tom.
I think that's a pretty sound theory. Possibly, now that I look back on it, and hindsight is an interesting thing. It's interesting that under the couple of home games that Mickey Moore's had in charge, our attendance seem to have swelled a little bit. More people have turned up than I would have probably given credit for. I'm not too sure those people necessarily would have come under Cox, but it's difficult to say, isn't it? Because we've only had a couple of home games, and it'll be very interesting to see how many turn out to Guiseley, how many turn out to Torquay next Saturday, when these are games probably we want to be looking to win at home, and they're not necessarily the kind of most sexy, attractive fixtures on the fixture list, are they? If it's blustery on Tuesday night, how many are going to turn up? I think they'll be intrigued with Paul Cox, coming back, but I don't think that's necessarily going to swell the attendance over the odds. yeah, I think only time will tell on that, but that has the potential definitely to increase the game.
No, I agree. Cheers for our 6 viewers now. We're up to 6, so it's a record breaker.
That's one more that's actually subscribed. Record breaker. That's one more who's subscribed, isn't it? There was not subscribed before.
I think so. Yeah. Well, I've got my wife in the back room, so you never know. She might be. We've just lost one. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, my take on that is style of football. How many teams at this level do you see play tiki-taka football? 1 touch, 2 touch, pass and move. It doesn't happen.
I don't know. I put a comment on the forum the other day that we're kind of, or to words to these effect, that we're kind of really spoilt now by the Sky Sports brand of football, aren't we?
Yeah.
You see from the likes of Arsenal's, you see from the likes of Barca's, these people that are spending time in the pub at 3 o'clock and watching the dodgy Greek channels. It's like we've become obsessed with it. We're spoiled by what Sky's kind of created within the game now. And the reality of it is, okay, the style of football could possibly improve, but is that really going to get that many more through the door? Do people want to have the team that was difficult to beat under Cox, used to bully sides a lot, works immensely hard without the ball, but ultimately it was a bit one-dimensional? Or do people want to have the pass and move Liverpool groups type of thing, where we might be sort of easily picked off at the back a bit more? I know which side of the camp I'm on, really, but I go every week. It's not, it's not keeping me away, is it? So there is an argument that it's keeping other people away.
Well, I think AJ summed it up really well for me, Adam Johnson from Radio Longsdale, when he basically said, winning football, it's all about results. I mean, if we're getting topped 5-6-0 every week in what we're playing, then it's wrong. You look at North Ferriby. North Ferriby last year actually decent football inside. They can orchestrate and try to knock the ball about. They play out from the back, but they come bottom of the league and got relegated. Kidderminster play some beautiful football in the Conference North, but not setting the world alight.
No, not again this season. I mean, they're about mid-table at the moment.
Boston, great football side. Adam Murray, good mate of mine. You know what I mean? We look at like Brackley in that league, very direct. You look at teams like how Leyton Orient have adapted. Leyton Orient are very direct. But this is what I'm saying. Everyone's at it. I spoke to Paul Cox end of last season, and he predicted to me personally. He said, "Look, next year everyone's going to be at it, direct, physical, because they saw Barrow's success last season. They showed Dover's success last season. Lincoln, there's a reason why Matt Reed's in that team, isn't there? Matt Reed's no Pele.
No.
Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? It's Terry Oakridge is no, I don't know, Lionel Messi. These are gritty players, and this is why he's brought in the likes of your Asa Halls. He stood by your Alex Reavis, your Vicente Gomez, because these types of players are Paul Cox style players. That Paul Cox's DNA, and I just think that we're going to get caught out because these players aren't technical footballers. They're good to a decent level, but a player, if they can play direct and they can play tiki-taka football, as you put Liverpool grew, knocking the ball about, they're all Premier League players. The reason why they're at this level, and that's because they can't knock a 50-yard pass. And if they did, they beat Man United. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I completely think you can't put lower tendencies to the style of football. I personally think that was the main reason why he might have left. I think he may have been told to play a certain brand, and maybe he's just gone like that. Not happening.
It doesn't strike me as the man he comes across as very principled. He has his mottos, doesn't he? He has his beliefs and he sticks by them very much so. Yeah. He doesn't strike me as a man who is necessarily going to bow to the demands of the current regime if they're not happy about the style of football that we're playing. And that's possibly a large degree to why he's gone, really. I mean, it'd be interesting, really. I don't know whether we're going to come onto managerial candidates for us, but is there somebody potentially out there who the owners, because there's a large suspicion that they kind of said they weren't happy with the football, and that may be one of the reasons why he went. But that would be a big enough name and a high enough authority in the game that would say, right, well, this is how I'm playing, and that they would buy that over a longer period of time, because that's essentially what we need. We need a manager in now for the longer term. Who's got his own style and own methods, and that the owners buy into that. That's where I see that we are in particular at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was probably part of the interview process initially, though. I mean, I don't think, you're not telling me Paul Cox sat down with the Cassans in his first interview and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to play this amazing brand of football, one-touch football." No chance. That's not that. That's not Paul. But we'll move on from that one. I mean, style of football equals low attendances. Disagree. I just think that for whatever reason, either football's getting too expensive, all the old boys are probably dead or in old people's homes, and we're not getting the kids involved. But that's for another week. Yeah. Next one. Falling out of love. Casson and Cox. Casson Jr. and Cox. Cox and Ogden. Cox and Cox. What's happened?
Possibly.
Is it a personal thing?
It's possibly all of the above, isn't it? I mean, the statement from Casson post the Cox departure was that they had philosophical differences. I'd suspect that wasn't just down to the manner of the football we were putting on the turf every week. There was probably background reasons to how the club was being run, and a lot of frustrations on the manager's part in terms of trying to get player deals over the line. Possibly a lot of frustrations as well on the owner's part. If he didn't feel that, if Cox, for example, was coming back for more and just wanting that bit more and that bit more and that bit more money to spend on players, and the owner thinks he's got enough with what he's got. The Ogden thing, let's face it, whichever way you look at it, and I think the story's been stoked up to an extent by the local media, that doesn't sit well in on English football, that sort of appointment to me. That I know it's not director of football, it's head of football operations, which I'm not too sure what other clubs employ that role. I mean, it seems a bit of a sort of a hairy-fairy made-up thing to me. We just don't like it, do we? We kind of like the model where the manager's in complete control of all footballing matters, really. And Paul Cox probably strikes me as that sort of man. But there are possibly clubs who adopt that approach a bit more, and the owners feel that they just want a head coach type of manager who will go in there and coach what he's got and concentrate on somebody else bringing those players in over the line for him to work with.
Newcastle a bit with Joe Kinnear. Do you remember when Joe Kinnear come in as head of football operations or whatever, and he was a bit older, and like everyone's granddad, and he effed them blind and kicked and screamed and stuff. But it didn't end well.
It was bizarre. It was bizarre though, wasn't it?
And that's Newcastle. We're Barrow. We don't need in my opinion, if that's the way the club want to do, you know what? It's Casson's money. It's his business. He's running like a business. He's got every right to do whatever he wants, and it's got nothing to do with the fans, because we're not owned by the fans. It's owned by a single person and his family. So if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. Do I agree it's the right decision? As somebody who I like to think knows what I'm on about, no, I think it's nuts. It's too complicated. We're Barrow. We're not Manchester City. But yeah, I definitely think that was one of the reasons. I think maybe the relationship's sort of broken down somewhere or other. I think what we've done there, we've actually covered my other two theories, which were the backstab by Paul Ogden, as Paul Ogden knifed Cox, as Cox fallen out with Paul Ogden. I don't think we'll ever know the answer to that question. Unless Paul Ogden rocks up at Guiseley over the next couple of weeks, you never know, do you?
You don't. These sort of things happen in football. We can't rule anything out, can we? That's why it seems even more bizarre that we would pin everything around Paul Ogden, because how can we guarantee that Paul Ogden is going to be here for longer term? I just think we're putting far too many of our eggs in one basket.
Paul Ogden's about 99.
Well, exactly. Well, how old is he? 70 odd? So it's incredibly trusting of Andrew Casson or Paul Casson or the ownership to do that. But it's fraught with danger in my view.
I completely agree. I mean, I like, you know, like I say again, so where am I? I've got my camera. But Paul Ogden's a great bloke. Yeah. Paul Ogden is a cracking fella. Obviously, I've spoken with Paul. He's a straight talker. I think we appreciate that at the club. He cares. His heart's billion% in the right place. I thought he was a shrewd appointment. I personally thought that Paul's been doing that job since he got the club anyway. It was just giving him a title. Look at the players that were brought in. A lot of them were apparently scouted by Paul. I think it's just a case of, is Paul Ogden looking for his last big hurrah? Is he trying to earn a few quid before he gets out of the game? I've no idea. By the way, we're up to 10 viewers now, everyone. So cheers for tuning in. I hope we're not boring you too much.
That's 5 times more than you predicted.
Yeah.
That's success.
You know what? I'm going to click. Oh, we've lost one. I'm going to say that's a semi-success.
Yeah, I think one final thing because we must move on. We'll keep snappy, but it's an interesting point about the knife in the back syndrome with Oggy and Cox in particular, isn't it? Because you kind of think that, you know, they've known each other for a long time. I think the same as Moore and Cox as well. And you hear a lot, you know, the elite level of the game where, you know, integrity seems to play a bit more of a hand. But there's probably one main reason for that. These players the managers and the coaches are earning millions of pounds a year at the elite level of the game. So they can kind of say, well, you know, the integrity comes into it a bit more. But you can only have a certain amount of integrity if you're getting paid to those sorts of level. You know, you're not going to struggle if you're out of work for a few months like the majority of people would do. So because the salaries aren't that high at this level, perhaps there is more to the knife in the back story in terms of Oggy's probably trying to secure some sort of financial future for himself. I think it's a very genuine and valid theory.
No, I completely agree. You know, I don't know if there's been a fallout behind the scenes. You know, apparently did Cox even know? I know that, I think he mentioned to me that even the Mail reported that Cox wasn't even aware of it. It happened without his hearsay, and maybe that's put his nose out of joint. But I tell you what, I mean, Cox is, you know, I've spoken to Paul, and Guiseley Football Club, he's running the whole club, similar to, you know, Wenger at Arsenal or Fergie at United. I mean, you know, he's got a say in, you know, anything from the style of football to the players he's bringing in, to the size of the pitch, who the groundsman is, who works behind it. It's his club, and he's been brought on to deliver that. And I think egos have been getting in the way a little bit. And that's my consensus. I think you've got a few egos. Obviously, Mr. Casson's a very successful guy. And one thing I'll say as well, Andrew Casson's no mug. I mean, Andrew, you know, Casson Jr. You know, you don't run a multi-million pound business. You know, I don't many people knew, but he was actually head of sales at Sony Ericsson. You don't work. You're telling me you don't work for Sony Ericsson for 10 years and multi-billion pound, you know, telco transactions if you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't. I'm not saying that Andrew Casson's a mug by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure he's very intelligent. I'm sure he's very good at what he does in that environment. But this is an English football club as well. So because of their background, there are going to be communication and cultural issues, aren't there? Which I think we've seen.
Cultural. I think cultural's the word. I think it's a complete cultural thing. I mean, I do a lot of business. 13 viewers, thank you very much. If you can hit like and subscribe, guys, as well, that'll get the word out. We could probably get a few more people involved. There's also a chat function if you want to have your input. If you leave your comments below, you can obviously answer those live on air. We can put your questions to Tom. But yeah, let's move on from it. I mean, you know, I think we've all got our own opinions. The next section I've called new manager, Mickey Moore. Tom, I'm going to leave this one with you. Let you go in here first. What's your take on Mickey Moore? What's he done right? What's he done wrong? What can he do better? How's he staking his place, his claim for getting this job?
Well, I think first and foremost, if you look at one of the main reasons we've talked about for the Cox departure, the graceful or the lack of grace at the football on the pitch, Mickey Moore's tried to do something about that, hasn't he? I think, I've been away. I haven't actually been to the last 2 games, but from everything that I'm listening to and reading about, the style of the football's changed. You know, quite from his little time had on the training ground, efforts into players. People were really, really positive and buzzing after that, in particular. More time and he'd had a full week with the bus before Tranmere yesterday. I believe we saw evidence of that in action again. Well, who knows if Mickey Moore is in genuine contention for the role? I'd be surprised if anyone really does. I'm hearing at the moment that people don't think he is going to be manager. But Mickey Moore could do, really. I think, opinion, you've got to look at it not just in terms of results, because in the blinking of an eye, he had very little time on the training pitch. And if you look at the results in isolation, 1-1 at home to Maidenhead. We were probably pretty decent in the second half. Might have gone on to win that game. I think the Fylde game's the one in particular where we think, well, on the back of that, and I was there for that one. This isn't, you know, it was a pretty miserable performance in a lot of respects. But I think looking back at that video footage and some of the chances that we had, especially the White one in the first half, we shouldn't have really lost that game. You know, I think we should have got a draw at least. And if we took our chances early on, I think we probably would have come away from Fylde with a win, regardless of how poor we were. But the last 2 games, been a lot of positivity around the place. And, you know, it's so tight, that league, isn't it? You know, you look at the top of the table team in Dover, 17 points from 9 games. They're not runaway leaders. No, it's 9 games, but we're only 7 points off that. You know, with 2 winnable home games on paper coming up. So, does Mickey Moore have to win 2 games to stand a chance? Has he got a chance anyway? I don't know.
Is it a cheaper option?
Yeah, but are we really looking for the cheaper option? I'm not so sure that we are. I think the Cassons are open to employing somebody who they think is a better calibre of manager, who's a bigger name, on the right contractual deal. I don't necessarily think that we're looking for the cheapest option.
No, so you mentioned them, and I'm going to quote unquote.
Don't quote unquote.
I mean, I know, yeah, especially when I'm using the Mail as my reference point. But I think it's coming from a Barrow statement actually. Andrew Casson, new manager, must be better than Paul Cox. Is Mickey Moore better than Paul Cox?
It's a very washy-wishy statement, that, isn't it? What on earth does better mean? Does that mean they're playing a better
home?
Does that mean
better drinking beer quickly? Better sprinter? Better all-round man?
Exactly.
Better manager than Paul Cox.
Well, in terms of what the Cassons have invested into the squad this season, that they keep highlighting, and their desire to be up there in the top 7, the top 5, that's got to be results based on the pitch, hasn't it? But it sounds like it isn't. It's not just results based. It's also about the brand of football that we're playing.
It's not Football Manager, is it?
What, as in the game?
Well, yeah. It just seems like we've got a bit Football Manager, Championship Manager like. And let's go through some of the contenders. So I've read various news articles, and you know, I've kind of whittled it down to some names who I think might be knocking about. And obviously, I watched the BT broadcast. Let's go through these one by one. So I've put it down to what I believe would be 7 candidates for the job. 7. Right. So if anybody else, actually 8. I've got 8. I just thought of one. If anybody else thinks any names that we can't think of, you put them in the chat, hit like and subscribe, put it in the chat, and we'll discuss it. We'll go 30 seconds each candidate because I'm wary of time. First one, he put his name in the hat for it, live on BT. Grant Holt, Tom.
No. Is this one-word answers? No,
Yeah.
Alty would be instant. What a romantic choice, really. Popular from the word go, he'll be. But no, I think we've got to be wary of appointing somebody like Holt just as a kind of fans on the side option. I think we want somebody who's tried and tested at this level. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say no. It's similar to Newcastle when Alan Shearer come and got them relegated.
Got them relegated, didn't they?
Yeah. So unless Grant Holt was player, I'd take Grant Holt as player assistant manager, and that way we can have him. Yeah, that'd be a good choice. Assistant manager, that's decided. The Bluebird chat have decided. Grant Holt, you're more than welcome at Barrow AFC as long as you're player assistant manager.
I'd love to see him back in a Bluebirds jersey. Yeah, how great would that be?
Right, next one, Richard Money.
Yes, really like that option. He has done it at Luton, but I think more appropriately, he's done it with Cambridge, hasn't he? He's got them up, knows how to get a team out of this league, a bit like Paul Cox. So in terms of answer to that question, is he better at doing it? Quite possibly. I think the CV is absolutely what we want. Whether geographically or logistically it's doable for him, I don't know.
Yeah, so Richard's been working out in the States for the last year or so. So, you know, Americans, obviously he failed with Luton with a big budget, spunked his budget, couldn't get him up. But yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think Richard Money's a good solid contender for the role. Next one, Marcus Bigner.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Andrew Caston's come out and said he's not really in contention. So it's kind of academic, really. But if the team are now playing really good, more attractive, shall we say, football on the pitch, Marcus Bigner, in support of Mickey Moore, has got to have had a really big hand in that. So perhaps there's an option for Marcus to be part of a managerial team. I think
I've heard he's got a Chester. I've heard that today from a few people I know in the game that he's actively applied for Chester and he wants the Chester job. If he's applying for Chester, as he put his own application in for the Barrow job, we'll never know. For me, absolute no. No, certainly not a better manager than Paul Cox. Next one, controversial one, Paul Ogden.
No.
We'll leave that there. We'll move on. My thoughts as well. Next one, Dean Saunders.
Yeah, he's been in the opposite dugout, really, hasn't he? At Hog Street before. Not so sure he's the most popular character throughout the fans. But is he a better manager? I can't really say whether I think he's a better manager than Paul Cox, really. I mean, what in your opinion is to say that he's worthy of fitting that bill?
He's not. We'll move on. He's a wanker. Don't like him at all. Next one, Gary Mills at York.
Sort of a solid type appointment, isn't he? Knows this level again. Tried and tested to an extent. I think we might, even though York are the level below us, struggle to get him. Bigger club, probably with a point to prove about getting them back up. They've still got the parachute payment, so he's kind of like, I think they're quite well resourced there still. So I just don't see it as being that viable, personally.
I'll agree. I think he's got a contract at York. It'd be more expense paying him out of that. Obviously, York got relegated last year. He's got relegation on his CV as well. Appreciate their form did get better. But yeah, I mean, he's not the man for us. Very quickly, let's move through these before we move on to our last couple of subjects. We've got Gavin Skelton, yes or no?
No.
I'll agree. And oh yeah, the final one.
Is this the controversial one?
Yeah, this is the controversial one, right? Andrew Casson.
Come on, I'm not even attempting an answer. Can you imagine the polarising effect that's going to have?
It'd be like Bob Bradley all over again.
That's like sticking two fingers up at the whole English football system. You know, that he can come in and think that he can run, you know, be at the manager's level of an English football club.
You never know. He literally could be the next Pep Guardiola.
Who's that guy at Billericay? He's like done the same thing, hasn't he?
Well, I know Glenn Tackling, right? And he knows a little bit about football. I think Glenn used to play it a little bit. And, you know, the word on the street is that Andrew's taken Yeovil Town from League 2 to the Champions League on Football Manager. You never know. Personally, bonkers choice. It ain't going to happen. It's a bit of fun.
Oh, I'm getting from one of our viewers. It could be a question, but I'll find out.
But you never know. Like I said, everyone's got any questions, let us know in the chat. Let's just move on very, very quickly. We're going to try and wrap this up over the next sort of 10, 15 minutes.
He's saying Dave Bayliss. Why haven't you thrown him into the mix?
Well, me and you were extremely drunk in the Kings a couple of weeks ago. I think we started the Dave Bayliss thing. I would absolutely love Dave Bayliss. Andrew, if you're watching this, and I think there's a good chance you will be, Dave Bayliss, please. Bring back Bayliss. BBB. Let's get it trending on Twitter. Let's put it on the forum.
I tried to spin that, but it didn't really work. A bit like this podcast, probably. Yeah.
So, are we in consensus that we want Bayliss with Grant Holt as assistant manager?
Oh, that's the dream team, isn't it?
Right, that's it. It's official.
That's the dream team.
The Bluebird chat consensus is, Andrew, we want Paul Ogden to remain as head scout, Dave Bayliss as manager, with Grant Holt as assistant, and Andrew can carry on doing the business things, and we'll be fine.
Maybe Andrew Casson can be like the spotty apprentice, and he can learn the ropes as well.
But we can, I'm sure we can put cones out. You never know. But at the end of the day, he's a businessman. He's not a football manager. I think we can rule Andrew out quite safely. I don't think he'd want it either. So let's just move on very, very quickly. Current squad, Tom. Who's impressed you? Who's not impressed you? What do we need?
Sorry, I'm getting absolutely message bombed here. Right. Yeah, really impressed with. I think it seems to be like Al Ray Harvey almost looks a new player this season. I think he's grown in stature. It's we didn't have him in the team yesterday, and the team wasn't disgraced, far from it, which is interesting. Him and Gomez have developed a good partnership in the centre of midfield. I mean, he's just all over the place, Gomez, isn't he? It's still a wonder how we're seeing him up here, really. But he's been a revelation, obviously. To stick with the positives, Neeskins, I really like. What a warm man that guy is as well, and I think I think everybody's saying it, he's built up such a rapport with the fans, whether it be his Twitter account or his Facebook account. What the hell are you on there?
Starapramen.
Well, why not?
Nice, actually. I'll review this separately. Quite hoppy, but quite nice in the palate. A bit dry, but anyway, yeah, as you were.
No, I think the interesting one for me, even though I think we were a bit oversubscribed in attack, but of course we've let Dan Coquelin go since then. Adi Youssef is, I think he's got one goal, hasn't he? Yeah. And I thought he would be the type of player that would score exactly the type of goal that he got, actually, which was a lovely kind of impromptu chip over the keeper from nothing. There's not many players that would have scored that goal. I think he'll get a couple of goals like that for us this season out of nothing, and it'd be a bit of a wonder strike. But with one goal to his name, there was some people praised him yesterday. Some people said he had an opportunity really with the McNulty playing at centre half to go and attack him a bit more, run at him with the ball, and he didn't take up on those opportunities. So he's the one really that I think he just needs a few goals under his belt because he's kind of like defining a bit of opinion at the moment, really. But I think he's got the potential. He's done it before. He's really got the potential to be a shrewd operator at this level.
Who's disappointed you then? Who's the biggest letdown?
From the new players this summer?
Just the squad in general, who's your biggest letdowns? I don't know. One or two? There must be a couple of.
I don't want to say Liam Hughes because he's the sort of he's the player that's on the tip of everyone's tongue. I think there's a bit of both. I don't quite know why he's not fit. You know, you might be able to shed a bit of light on that. He's not in the 16 even at the moment, even though we seem a bit short of options. But I also feel a bit for the player as well. I don't necessarily think we've utilised him to the best of his ability in his favoured role, and I'm basing what I've seen of his earlier career before he was at Barrow. You know, for Cambridge and stuff, he actually looked like he had a bit of creativity about him. So I don't really think that I don't know whether we're not utilising him well enough. But he's kind of like the scapegoat at the moment.
No, exactly. I mean, with Liam, Liam Hughes is 25. He's 6'4". He's a Paul Cox type of player straight away. But Liam Hughes is actually an attacking centre midfielder.
We don't play him there.
We don't play him there. No, we play him on the right, and that was only purely because we were on a 28-game unbeaten run or whatever it was, and you don't change the winning team. This is the same Liam Hughes who played in his correct position. Will get you double figures. Think Andy Bond style. The year we got promoted, Richie Baker used to pitch him with goals. Liam Hughes can be this player for the football club. Now, yes, he's been overweight. Having spoken with Liam personally, Liam's bang on weight now. He's the lightest he's ever been. I think he's bang on 15 stone, which for a 6'4" man is pretty much spot on. He's fit. Is he match fit? Probably not. We need an attacking centre midfielder. This is what we're missing, in my opinion. We're missing someone a bit like Mark Boyd back in the day, can ping the ball about. Liam Hughes is that player. Trust me. Liam Hughes' range of passing. Liam Hughes is the best footballer at Barrow Football Club. Honestly, he generally is. If you're going to put it down on passing ability, reading the game, he's one of the best. And I'm sure that, Mickey Moore, people like that do know that. This is the same guy that got promoted with Cambridge. He scored the winning goal in the playoff final. And I'd like to see him given a fair crack in the whip, personally. I agree. Al Harvey's done really, really well. Musa this year has been absolutely outstanding. I mean, he was Bambi on ice this time last season. And you mentioned Neeskins. Absolutely. I mean, like Musa in very much sense. I mean, you look at Musa this time last season, he was, as I just mentioned, he was awful. He was Bambi on ice. And Neeskins hasn't been. So if Musa's as good as what he is now, imagine how good Dave Neeskins is going to be 12 months down the line. And Dave's 5 years younger. Dave looks about 35. He's had a hard paper round, but he's up.
No, so he must be early 20s then, is he?
He's 23. He's just turned 23.
Yeah, the potential's there with him, definitely.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I think we're going to miss him, really, because we've got the prospects of, Thierry O'Dell slotted in again as part of the back three and did all right yesterday. He sort of, I don't think anyone he would have expected to play yesterday. So, he's had his concussion issues, I should say, and he was kind of rushed in as it turned out with the injury to Neeskins. So, Richie, Dunn. He's not called Richard Dunn, is he?
No. I'd be worried if it was Richard Dunn. Jimmy Dunn.
Jimmy Dunn, yeah. Donny. Also, I wanted the game, but from what the commentary team was saying, really vocal for an 18, 19-year-old, which is really, really, really useful. I think when the last 25 minutes we're suffering a bit of a Tranmere onslaught, isn't it? Really useful to have players like that in your rank, especially at such a young age. That only breeds well as well.
I agree. I mean, I think we need a few players bringing in now. From what I'm hearing on the grapevine, Andy Parry's miles off.
I don't know whether we're going to see Andy Parry again.
I don't think he'll play again. I don't think he'll play football again. From what I'm hearing, it's bad.
Issues, and we've kind of given him this contract. What's he on? 3 months? Have we got until November on contract?
Yeah, from what I know, it's a short-term deal, so that's taken up some form of salary. It was good to see Joel Dixon back on the bench. Joel's a good goalie. Are you going to keep Joel Dixon happy if he's on the bench? Absolutely not. I think he'll move. I don't think you could have two decent keepers. Stuart Moore's the main one that's impressed me. His shot stopping's brilliant. Reminds me a little bit of Tim Deasy. He's got a touch of the Deasys about him. He's a good shot stopper.
Easy Deasy.
But he's prone to a moment of madness, as we've seen already. But overall, my opinion on it, are we in the best shape? Absolutely not. Do we need some more players? Yes. Well, the next 2 weeks are going to be massive for the football club. If they don't strengthen in the right areas, sort the managerial situation out, I personally think we could be in a bit of bother.
I don't. There's nothing that exists in football about being too good to go down. We saw it with York last season, didn't we? We've seen it time and time again with big teams over big leagues. Never too big to go down, and we certainly don't fit that bracket. But I'd like to think, with the manager coming in, that there will be the investment there. I think the right man will get the money to spend that he wants to. So, it's a massive couple of weeks, absolutely, but it's more so around the right managerial appointment rather than the current state of the squad.
I completely agree. I think Casson will back his man, the new guy coming in, to get that relationship off to a good start and stuff. But yeah, I mean, so in conclusion, well, it's inconclusive really. The signings have been all right, but no one's been outstanding. Okay, so let's move on to our final topic. Likewise, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave your comments as well. We don't mind answering a few questions. What's your prediction for Tuesday, Tom? Next game, the return of the Cocks.
Right. Yeah, I've got some thinking to do about this one because, like I say, I predict on every game. I either think we will win 1-0. I think we will lose 1-0, or it'll be 0-0.
No, that's rubbish. I'm not having that. I'm
not ready yet. No. 0-0 then, if you're going to push me. I think it's almost got that written all over it, hasn't it? I think Paul Cox is going to sit, be tight, all the things that we're gonna hate him for on Tuesday, aren't we?
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going 0-0. Absolutely 0-0. We found it very difficult scoring goals frequently, breaking teams down. Paul Cox knows exactly the way we play. We've got the Space Cadet, Thierry Ordell, starting at centre half. Him and Musa together, absolute disaster.
I'm wondering going on there, isn't it?
It's a blind leading the blind. I mean, Musa's a good defender. I mean, gets the ball away. But as we've seen, he's no John Stones. And Thierry Ordell's not even a David Easkins. I think it's a terrible signing.
Well, we're going to have to rely on him. So I hope he's got over his concussion well enough.
I think he may have had a concussion since he joined us, from what I gather. I mean, I was at the Dagenham game and fucking hell, that was the worst performance I've seen of anyone in the Barrow shirt, I think. The fact he got taken off the other day, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Musa that gave him concussion at half time, the way he played the other night. But we'll move on. It's not personal. But yeah, I'm going to go for 0-0. How do you think he's going to set up? How's Cox going to set up?
Well, I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be the three. I don't know what guys they're playing. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it would necessarily be the three at the back that he was playing with us. I think that was more a case of, how best to fit the system, wasn't it? That needs must. Because we never saw that he was going with much three at the back last season. He experimented with it once at home to Cheltenham, if I remember, and it was chaotic. So it was more the players that we had in and how best he was going to get them on the pitch and fit them in. So I just think it would be a standard form, maybe. I mean, the guys they play with, a kind of lone man, or probably under Cox, somebody to support that man up front, really.
Yeah, it was 4-5-1 Saturday. I had a look over it. I've not watched the highlights yet. For those who don't know, Guys who drew 0-0 with Eastleigh, frustrated them.
This is back. There's about 16 people watching this.
Hello, this is Browley.
Wait, right. Can I just go to the pub?
Right, so he's got the pub apparently.
Actually, brilliant.
Colin, all right.
All right, see you in a bit.
Famous. We've just lost 3 viewers because of her.
What are
4
we on?
viewers. Shocking. But yeah, I think it's going to come. I think they'll scratch, they'll bite, they'll frustrate us, and I'm going to go for a 0-0. And with that Mickey Moore's exit, that's what I'm going to predict. You may even see Mickey Moore rock up at Guiseley. You never know, do you? It's football. Who knows?
Absolutely. I think Mickey Moore. I think that's one thing. If Mickey Moore's going to have to stand a chance of getting the job, I think he needs 2 wins this week.
Well, I think it's personal, isn't it? I mean, it's like he's up against his mate. He wants to win. I mean, it's like me and you. Me and you have a game of pool. I want to win. Rather than arm wrestle, I want to win. It's a massive game for his ego. Both of them. You think Paul Cox wants to go orchestrate and get told 4-5-0? No chance.
Absolutely not. Which is what
guys are winning, though.
That's more what's driving me to think it's got 0-0 written all over it. Really.
Yeah, it will do. I hope the crowd's good. I hope it's a good crowd. Last question before we finish up then, Tom. What receptions are you going to get from the fans?
I hope it's a positive one. Look, this is a guy who, you know, we rediscovered, or some of us discovered for the first time, what it was like to really compete at the top end of the National League or the conference under Paul Cox. You know, we kind of moved on from the little old Barrow tag. I think people really started to hate us, but for the right reasons. Putting Barrow on the map, all that. We all know that. So the reception should be right and it should be positive.
Yeah, I agree. I think you'll get a good reception. I'd like to see the Paul Cox banner out. Thank you, Paul Cox, something like that. I know that Paul really liked the supporters. I think he had a really good bond with them. It's the first time I've seen a manager have that bond with the supporters since Bayliss. I don't think Edmo ever had that. He had a disconnect.
No, I think Edmo was well liked, wasn't he? He was well liked enough, but yeah, in terms of going over and above and that fan rapport, Cox kind of epitomised that.
No, exactly. So I mean, I hope it's a good reception. I don't think he'll get booed. I think it'd be sad if he did. But I'd be interested in everyone else's thoughts. Leave your comments in the section below. Hit the thumbs up. I just want to bring a few other things up, Tom. I'm going to finish in a minute. Steve Story's Unofficial t-shirts. Absolutely brilliant idea. Yeah. Big up, Steve. Love it.
Yeah, I need to give him my chest measurements that you've had a bit of a giggle about.
I was going to say, it'll take you a good few days to manage your chest, mate, I tell you.
That's why I haven't got back to him yet. No, I'm going to get 2 for 28 quid. So, yeah, bit of a plug there for Steve's t-shirts. Unofficial, but some really good designs in there. So, a good bit of collaborative work.
Big up to Steve.
Using his initiative. Let's see more of it with the fan base in terms of stuff like this. Yeah, all for it. Positive.
I quite like the guy who put the comment in the forum about the Make Barrow Great Again hat. I thought that was genius. I would buy one of them. So if you're watching, or if you do watch this, if you can make them, I will buy one. I would pay 20 quid for a cap saying Make Barrow Great Again. So if there's anyone out there watching who wants to send me a cap, brilliant. I'm back up in Barrow at Christmas.
It'd probably have to be blue rather than red, wouldn't it?
Yeah, blue and white. I think it's a genius idea. Also, I just want to bring up the club. I've been doing a really good job with the social media this season. I forget the fella's name now, the guy that works on reception. I think he's done a really good job. So I think the club need props for that. It's funny, it's witty, it's informative. I think the club have improved that massively. Matthew does some great work behind the scenes with this week at Barrow. And the rest of it. Maybe a topic for another time, maybe for next week. I'd like to discuss the corporate side, how we're finding that, lack of numbers, etc. And finally, I mean, massive props, I think, to the guys at Radio Lonsdale, your ex-colleagues. Tom, they did a good job, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, I listened to AJ and Matt all of yesterday's game, and it didn't feel like I was there, but it really felt like I could contribute in the public discussion, you know, in terms of they just illustrated to me, listening in, how the game ebbed and flowed. So whereas sometimes you kind of get these things and they can be a bit short term and the quality's not that good. These guys, it's really high quality stuff.
Is it because it's a Barrow accent and he's been positive as opposed to being like John Goodwin, really negative, want to slit your wrists after 10 minutes of listening to it?
This came up yesterday, actually, about Goody. And he did the Dagenham game last season. I think I got that right. And I didn't go to that. The Dagenham away game where we won. And it was the second goal. I think Harrison might have got it. And it's just like, Barrow scored again, and it's now 2. I think I'm jumping up and dancing around me, man up.
Are we talking about the same fella? Is this the one that used to be the Holker manager? Which one's his name?
Who's the one who?
Is it John Goodwin? The one who comes on and he used to be the Holker manager?
I think possibly. I don't think there's 2, are they? Maybe our listeners will correct us like they do with everything that people get wrong because they're very cleared up about these things.
Yeah, I'd love to see what his managerial record was.
I've said that before.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's it, guys. Many thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Now, what we'll say is this hasn't just been put together by myself and Tom. This is a group of supporters who obviously wanted to get this done. Just because I've kind of presented this one doesn't mean that you can't. I'm quite happy to give anyone the logins. Anybody wants to get involved next week, if you can contact Tom. Are you happy with that, Tom? Because I'm going to be absolutely ramped. Just send Tom your Gmail account. We can add you. You can come on the panel. It'd be good to get a few more people involved next week.
I think there might be some interest. You know, I knew a couple of people, you know, that might have done it. I think it was just a bit short notice, and they just need a little bit of teaching about what to do. But hopefully, this format's allayed a lot of fears. You know, it's quite simple, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like having a pint in the pub with your mate, and that's the whole point of it. But guys, many thanks for tuning in. Same time next week. It will be always 6 o'clock. It will always be 6 o'clock. This will get uploaded to YouTube. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be brilliant. Leave your comments below. I'm going to let Tom Browley, with 10 seconds, Tom, play it out.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for everybody listening. Hope it's been informative. Views my own. I post under my own name on the forum. None of this keyboard warrior stuff, so have a go if you want. Praise if you want. Much love.